After Facebook announced it was changing its name to Meta, the Metaverse became 2021's favorite buzzword. It was also a banner year for NFTs, which exploded in popularity among certain online circles and will likely play a big role in the future of the Metaverse. There's never been a better time to make money speculating on the future of the internet, so it's not a surprise that automakers would try to join this futurist trend. What even is the Metaverse, and what the hell does it have to do with cars? Which Metaverse moves from car makers make sense, and which are pure marketing ploys? Today on Wheelhouse, we're going inside the mainframe to give you the full scoop.
Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. When I'm working on my car, things can get a little loud, which makes it hard to listen to my favorite podcast. But when I use Raycon's everyday earbuds, those disrupting noises are isolated away thanks to their optimized gel tips that make this perfect in-ear fit feel oh so comfortable. And with 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, I can keep working and never miss another moment from my favorite podcast. That Nolan guy really cracks me up. You know what's better than getting premium audio quality? Getting premium audio quality at half the price of those other top brands. It's no wonder the everyday earbuds have over 48,000 five-star reviews. That's a lot. I use my Raycons all the time, and if you want your own pair, head on over to buyraycon.com/donut to get 15% off your Raycon purchase, or just click the link in the description below. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some past gas to catch up on. Nolan, you silly b****.
The Metaverse is a hard concept to wrap your head around, in the same way that the internet was probably tough to grasp before it existed. Oh, it'll be like books and TV and every job all put together, and eventually it'll be owned by Comcast. The simplest way to think about the Metaverse is as an evolution of the way we experience the internet today. Supposedly, it'll be a combination of emergent technology like VR, AR, 5G, AI, and possibly several other two-letter abbreviations. Together, all that tech will create a shared 3D space where users can interact with other people as well as the world around them. It might look fairly similar to the real world, or it could be a total fantasy world depending on the choice of the user. You know, like VR Chat or Second Life, or Gary's Mod, or World of Warcraft, or RuneScape, or Club Penguin? Is that a metaverse? Neopets? In other words, it's a customizable digital overlay on the real world that represents the convergent point of most, if not all, media, computing, and communication technologies. If that sounds impossible, consider that a global data overlay of our real lives already exists, but instead of seeing it visually, we interact with it via our smart devices. The problem, of course, is that most of the theoretical uses are still highly theoretical, and most users haven't exactly flocked to early metaverse adjacent devices like Google Glass. However, this hasn't stopped car makers from meta-wading into the meta waters. BMW has started designing cars and even entire factories using a platform called the Omniverse. Omniverse's creator, NVIDIA, calls it, quote, the metaverse for engineers. Some tech experts believe it's likely that the Omniverse will become a key part of the metaverse's foundational technology. BMW's Regensburg factory has a fully functioning digital twin in Omniverse that's capable of simulating scale production at every level. BMW envisions a future in which engineers from all aspects of design collaborate in a shared virtual space with people and robots working together on a metaverse version of the factory floor. Deep breath. One key perk of designing cars in the metaverse is that BMW can take a designer's work and, using exactly the same set of assets, make a photorealistic representation of that car in a 3D space for exactly $0 additional. Not just the appearance of the car, but the physics as well. Now, I actually think this is the strongest use case for metaverse tech that I've seen so far. Conceivably, BMW can build a brand new assembly line in Omniverse, develop entire workflows, and solve line issues before any work begins in the real world. In the real Regensburg factory, the plant's robots are represented in real time on the virtual floor and can be piloted by a real person through Omniverse if the unit experiences an issue. I think that's pretty damn cool. Meanwhile, over at Hyundai, the Korean company recently announced they're leaning even further into the future with a concept they call meta mobility. The press release featured more technobabble than the manual for the Rocinante. Not only do they envision the car of the future as a 3D entertainment space instead of a place for attentive driving, they're also basically hoping to merge the use of vehicles and robotics through the metaverse. Yeah, this one's a little weird. In the words of Hyundai's chief vocabulary officer, quote, "The idea behind meta-mobility is that space, time, and distance will all become irrelevant. Robots will become an extension of our own physical senses, allowing us to reshape and enrich our daily lives." Huh. Okay. If robotics got you thinking about those creepy dog robots that can open doors and dance the samba, you're just like Hyundai. Just before announcing the Meta Mobility Initiative, Hyundai bought a majority stake in Boston Dynamics, the Massachusetts company that makes those weird, creepy robots. We actually did a video about this a while ago. The key piece of tech behind Hyundai's robot dreams is called the Plug and Drive Module. It's an AI-based single-wheel unit that can be attached to basically any object and make it mobile. Hyundai foresees a variety of uses, from moving small objects like an individual person's cane to chaining multiple units together for public transportation or even mobile hospitals. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but it's also kind of cool. I don't know if I'm ready for space, time, and distance to become irrelevant, but if Hyundai can assist people get around, I'm for it. BMW and Hyundai have big goals and high ideals for what the metaverse can do, but the real proof of concept will be whether they can turn a buck. If so, expect other car companies to release their own metaverse-focused, thesaurus-heavy press releases ASAP. Speaking of quick money, the NFT gold rush was one of the biggest stories in tech last year. In some ways, NFTs and Metaverse are almost synonymous with each other. Both are based in Web3, an umbrella term for a future version of the internet without big middlemen like Google or Verizon. In their place is a decentralized system built on blockchain, which is also the foundation for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. If you've been out of the loop or maybe just focused on things that exist in the real world, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Non-fungible essentially means something unique or without equivalent. A $100 bill, for example, is fungible because it can be exchanged for 5 20s or 10,000 pennies. An original Picasso is non-fungible because there's no equivalent replacement. Right now, NFTs are mostly pieces of digital memorabilia, like a Honus Wagner baseball card with a digital transaction history. But eventually, they could be integral to something as fundamental as car ownership. For example, you can own an NFT that represents your ownership stake in an autonomous vehicle, and that gives you access to the car itself, and you wouldn't have to deal with a dude named Beeple to get it. On an industry scale, car companies aren't quite as hip to NFTs as they are to the bigger metaverse concept, but it seems like someone new announces a line of collectible NFTs seemingly every day. In June of 2021, the Barrett-Jackson Auction House announced that they were the first collector car company to sell NFTs during a live in-person auction. If you think that means they were selling NFTs of collector cars, you're wrong. They were selling NFTs commemorating the sale of collector cars. What? The winning bidders received a video, an illustration, and 3 still images based on previous instances in which Barrett-Jackson had sold cars with 001 VIN numbers. Cool, man! A company called NFT Garage is hoping to create NFTs based on real-world cars, using a picture and stats to digitally represent the rides. They say the car will exist in 2 places, real life and as an NFT, but their values won't necessarily correlate with one another. I don't want to spend too much time on this particular venture, but I did find something very interesting. The main draw of NFT Garage is that you take a picture of your car, upload it, and then they mint it for you. They turn it into an NFT, and then hopefully, down the road, you can sell it for profit. Sounds like a great deal for photographers, right? But it looks like you can just take photos from other places, like the Lamborghini press site, for example. NFT Garage wants $75 for this 4-year-old Aventador press photo. Here's a pic of a Maserati 300S, taken from the Redline Restoration's website based in Black Rock, Connecticut. These are the people that actually restored this car, and they put these pictures up so they could sell it. The NFT people, though, cropped it in Photoshop and then sold it for almost $2,000. The future rocks, man. This is awesome. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's really hard to describe some of this stuff without making it sound like a scam. I'm willing to give almost any idea the benefit of the doubt, but it doesn't help that the NFT community is full of scammers. Just Google NFT scam and you'll find a few dozen articles about who's been ripped off right now. A flaw in the OpenSea market's NFT transfer process has cost users millions of dollars. A recent Ozzy Osbourne themed NFT launch was hijacked with a fake Discord server to defraud investors. A fake NFT collection called the Big Daddy Ape Club pre-sold $1.3 million worth of tokens, then never delivered the NFTs and deleted all their associated accounts, and that was all in a 3-day span. One crypto expert told Rolling Stone, quote, "It's better best practice to assume everyone is a scammer until proven otherwise. This does not sound like the incredible technological game changer we were promised. Even the solutions to these problems cause problems. A dude in New York had $2.3 million worth of Bored Ape NFTs stolen. Why is it? It's all apes. So OpenSea immediately suspended trading of the stolen apes. But they're not really supposed to even be able to do that because the whole point of NFTs in crypto is deregulated, unprotected assets. None of this is very reassuring if the idea is to eventually turn important stuff like car titles into NFTs. And I haven't even mentioned the environmental issue here. NFTs are at least partially responsible for the millions of tons of carbon dioxide emissions generated by the cryptocurrencies used to buy and sell them. For a car industry that is actively trying to decouple itself from carbon emissions, this isn't a great look. According to CryptoArt.wtf, an NFT called Space Cat has the same carbon footprint as an EU resident's electricity usage for 2 months. It's a GIF of a cat in a space shuttle. The emissions are due to the fact that NFTs are largely bought and sold with marketplaces like Nifty Gateway and Super Rare that use the cryptocurrency Ethereum. Ethereum, like most major cryptocurrencies, is built on a system called proof of work that is incredibly energy hungry. Although Ethereum, I will say, is more efficient than Bitcoin. In fact, the process is energy inefficient on purpose. The idea is that using up inordinate amounts of electricity and the ensuing bills makes it less profitable for someone to mine it. And as a side effect, Ethereum uses about as much electricity as the entire country of Libya. The greenhouse gas thing is a generally acknowledged problem in the crypto community, and there are multiple strategies being pursued to keep blockchain secure in ways that aren't as hard on the planet, so I'll give them some credit there. Ethereum in particular has promised to migrate to a less energy-intensive form of blockchain. The problem now is that people have been waiting for years for Ethereum to make the change, and some of them are skeptical it ever will. Time will tell. The bottom line here is that the metaverse has potential, but it comes with aspects we should be skeptical of. It makes complete sense that car companies would be investing in the technology's future. But if the tech has any future, it has to be more than a cash grab. So props to BMW and Hyundai for investigating the practical implications, and boo to the countless marketing departments minting NFTs as fast as they can upload a JPEG. Most of the benefits of the metaverse are still theoretical. Attracting investors with promises that your product can be anything may sound enticing, especially in the context of an emerging technology. But in my experience, creative constraints and a focus on a singular goal are what really lead to breakthroughs. Meanwhile, by its very nature, crypto has become a haven for scams and a notable polluter. The future of this tech may very well still be awesome, but as consumers and collectors, it's worth staying wary until the promises become reality.
Inside your car, there's a creep unlike anything you've ever heard before. But be warned, it can be quite temperamental. Always run an intercooler. Do not use low-octane dino juice. And the most important thing, beware the creep that lurks within the boost. Donut Media presents the new hair-raising Boost Creep shirt, available right now at donutmedia.com for just $29.98. Really, that cheap, huh? That's so much cheaper than $30.
Whew! All right. Man, we learned a lot today, didn't we? That was a fun one. Metaverse this, crypto that, minting, funging, non-funging, Paris Hilton going on Jimmy Fallon. Like, let's just go outside. Let's just go outside. How about that? Don't spend your money on a JPEG. Take that money, buy something with all-wheel drive, go camping. Buy some all-terrain tires for your Civic. Go out to Joshua Tree. Spend $100 on a tent. Do that. Hit up your friends that you haven't talked to since like 2011. You know, see how they're doing. Do that. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Be kind. See you next time.